How hard exactly is Chinese? Let me explain. I spent 20 years in China and I have spent 35 years in the United States. So I'm bilingual and I know what are the keys for Westerners, for Americans, for example, to learn Chinese. Let me explain to you unbashfully today how hard Chinese is. I'm not going to hide it. Now let's start with something easy. Everyone loves food. Let's talk about ramen. Ramen is what a lot of people consider a Japanese noodle, but it's actually Chinese. The Chinese word for ramen is la mian. And what la mian means is very interesting. The word la has a radical representing hand. It has another radical representing stand, li. So that means somebody is pulling the noodle. The noodles are going to be so hard, so heavy that the person has to stand. So this means la. And mian kind of looks like the noodle making pan that somebody would use. So that's la mian. Now from here, I want you to not fear what I'm going to talk about. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just trying to really help people appreciate. You might be a high schooler trying to learn Chinese. You might be a senior trying to learn some Chinese for fun. You might be a business executive trying to learn some Chinese. This is what Chinese really is. So, what is hard for people in the West are, first of all, the sound. Sound is different. You have pinyin and you have four tones. A lot of people probably will find this unconquerable just for those. But then you have the characters. The Chinese characters are not based on phonetic spelling. You have probably some knowledge of Korean and Japanese. They are actually phonetic. The Chinese characters, each character means something, right? So that's one of the hard part. And then you have the meaning and special meanings. And the Chinese word, when it goes into a particular sentence in a particular order, it takes on different meanings. So let me explain to you in a few examples. Let's say the sound of wu, wu, first tone wu, second tone wu, wu, wu. So wu, 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 wu. Those are already hard. But then you have a lot of Chinese characters. Those three characters, they all corresponds to the first tone of wu, dirty, me, and slender. And you have different characters for different tones. Wu, wu, wu. And what makes it more interesting is some of the characters can have different sound. This it means 可恶. This is 恶劣. So this 恶 can also be pronounced 恶. Now that's interesting, right? This character 陆, 陆 can be 陆地, meaning land, or 六, meaning 6,000. Okay, 6000 means 6,000. And this is a character a lot of people probably recognize. 2, 二. But this can also have another sound of 两. Now both 二 and 两 can mean the same thing. They both mean 2. But you can also say 二两 means 2 ounce of wine, for example, right? Give me 二两酒, 2 ounces of wine. So that's when the words are put into context, they can shift in both the sound, pronunciation, and meaning. And what makes Chinese, I think, even more harder is there are a lot of meanings that does not exist in the West. There are meanings in the West that does not exist in Chinese, but there are also meanings of Chinese that does not exist in the West. For example, the English word pu, it can mean either ba or la. Ba is like this. You're pulling grass out of the ground. That's ba. And when you're pulling noodles, that's la. So both are verbs. That makes it interesting. Now, suppose that you get very good at this. You learn all the tones, you know 100 to 600 characters, and you know how to speak some survival Chinese, and you know if people say bad things behind your back, things like that. Now, this is not it, right? The Chinese characters can be put into phrases. You can have the same word, 江, put in different phrases. The Chinese phrases was actually invented by an Indian monk. And this means 将就 means to make a compromise. 就医 means to go to hospital. 就义 means to sacrifice yourself, to die for a cause. Now, I didn't put another bubble that means phrase, right? Phrase is really invented by Chinese. A lot of them are actually romantic, and it's very, very creative, in my opinion. That's where a lot of the creativeness of Chinese comes out. Now, you can also have different styles of font. This is 仿宋, meaning mimicking the Song dynasty. 楷书, 隶书, different things. And when the Chinese people, the Chinese people make their seals, right? Their personal seals. The seal, because it's made by iron tool, it has different calligraphy styles. No Chinese would write this kind of style in their daily writing. This is only for the seals. Now, calligraphy is interesting because there are not many languages that have unique calligraphy styles. The Chinese not only do calligraphy, but they also put their seals on calligraphy. This might mean, oh, the Emperor of Song have seen this. He likes it. He put his seal here, right? This means, oh, Xi Jinping likes it. Yeah, he put it here, right? So this art piece carries a lot of seals. I guess people may think it's some kind of graffiti, but it's not. Right? Chinese scholar not only knows how to use a word, how to use a sound, but they know calligraphy, right? I cannot do calligraphy well. I never trained, but the Chinese leaders always use calligraphy. They don't use a ballpoint pen or stuff like that. And the Chinese leader, Mao Zedong, is further very known, right? His style of calligraphy is very unique, and he can start a revolution with his style, right? That's how powerful the language is. And Chinese can be very vague. Okay, this is a phrase called 三三两两. 三三两两. It means a few scattered people. This means 支支吾吾, means somebody is hesitating, they're not speaking straight, right? This means 意思. If I tell you, oh, you need to 意思, that means you need to give me some present. And this is 2两酒, or 2 ounces of wine. We're getting pretty deep in some of the Chinese history and the Chinese characters because it had a few thousand years to evolve. They actually developed their own history. Let me show you one particular Chinese sentence, right? This says, 你什么意思?真没意思,也不意思意思. So what that means is what you mean. You mean 意思, right? You are so boring and not interesting. You really no 意思, right? Why don't you pay me a little bit? Why don't you give me some present? So 你什么意思?真没意思,也不意思意思. This is how Chinese really talk. Of course, it's a bit exaggerated, but this is real. I put a color code. So hopefully this makes you interested. The Chinese grammar is also very interesting, and it actually is dynamic. For example, if a Chinese say 我很好, it means I very good. In English, it would be equivalent to someone saying I'm very good, I'm super good. Now, normal Chinese would never say this. You go to China for 10 years, you never hear a Chinese say 我很好. Never hear that. Okay, Chinese would never say that. But Chinese might say 我今天很好, 我今天很好。I today very good. It may mean that, oh, I was feeling bad yesterday and today I feel okay. So 我今天很好. Chinese would not say 我很好, but they would say 我今天很好. They may also say 你 you 今天好吗? You today good? Okay, it means how are you feeling? It doesn't mean how do you do. It means how are you feeling? Are you hurt? You don't look too good. I mean, what's wrong, right? That's what they're trying to say. 你今天好吗? If they put one character here, 你今天很好吗? Then that's a totally different sentence, right? This means you today very good. It basically means, did you put up good behavior today, right? Were you good today? So just one word can totally change the whole sentence. A lot of people compare Japanese to Chinese. Japanese is very hard. Japanese not only use kanji, meaning 汉字, they also use their phonetic spelling, hiragana and katakana. Right? Katakana is for foreign things, and hiragana is for Japanese things. So Japanese have the same sound, but they try to differentiate it between the foreign and domestic. In Japan, Hanji is very useful. Most of the Chinese can go to Japan and they instantly know what it means because the Chinese, the kanji in the sentence or in the sign of a store typically is the real meaning of what that means. This means Hanji is very hard. I can recognize it. I don't know any Japanese, but I know this phrase has something to do with Chinese being very hard. Okay. So in my opinion, Japanese is hard. I would never venture out to learn Japanese. Japanese would also find Chinese hard. This is actually where all this hiragana comes from. They all come from Chinese characters. This is the source of the Chinese character. They got simplified and they become the phonetic meaning. So Japanese do not use pinyin. That's where they use hiragana. But hiragana elements come from Chinese. Katakana, same thing, right? You see the katakana always have sharp angles, I think. So how do you learn Chinese? We have come this far. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. My channel is made for someone like you who have watched to the end, right? So keep in mind that nobody finds Chinese easy. The Chinese school kids, they spend 18 years learning it. I left China when I was 20, so I did my full lessons in Chinese, right? And then they become okay. They can recite 300 Tang Dynasty poetry. They can write perfectly. You know, in China, if you write, handwriting is bad, people think that you're less educated. So this is a Chinese poem. So don't worry, Chinese find it very hard as well. But I want you to know that there's a lot of interesting things. And maybe for seniors, maybe it's a good exercise to exercise your mind. It is very hard. I have heard my kids learning Spanish and things. I personally think that Chinese would be harder. If you want to learn some Chinese casually, follow the Dr. Liu's Chinese. I am a native speaker. I also speak English. This is how I speak English. 我的中文是普通话. This is how I speak Chinese. I have no Chinese accent. I speak pure Mandarin. I'm from Beijing. So if you're interested, feel free to make comments, ask me any questions. I love to help people become better with Chinese. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope to see you in future episodes.